If watching Keanu Reeves read a phone book turns you on, this might be a good film.
What if it does?
I mean, what if it does?
If you thought Superman was too realistic, maybe this is viewable.
What?
Wait, hold on. What?
What?
What is that? Aliens? What?
However, if you prefer a good story with some degree of realism, avoid this one like a rabid leper.
Is surfing unrealistic now? I don't understand.
Apparently.
That was a 1-star review from IMDb. Hello and welcome to Spoilers Intended, a podcast about series and films. I'm Ryan, joined as always by Andrew.
Yo, dude.
And Steven.
Yeah, man. Hang 10.
Boo.
Low tier.
Narc! In this episode,
We found out who the undercover cop
hello,
is.
fellow teens. And in this episode, we're reviewing the 100% pure adrenaline 1991 action classic, Point Break.
I'm still confused about the
The
one-star
most
review, though.
unrealistic film
It's
ever.
actually pretty grounded.
Oh, I think the idea of, I guess, jumping out of a plane with no parachute.
Oh, well, okay,
or-
that's fine.
But what I'm saying is, like,
I mean, Red Bull will sponsor that. So
I took 3 lines from that review. It was like, it was 88 paragraphs long. It was like, you shouldn't have spent this much time
I wrote a
trashing this movie.
dissertation on this film.
And it was just talking about a bank robbery would never, and like you can't do like surfing. You could never learn that quick.
There were bank robbers in the 90s and the 80s.
I know. This is one of these armchair quarterbers who's like, I tell you what I would do in the movie.
I will say, at one point they mentioned like how many bank robberies have happened in L.A. County alone. It's like, that feels high.
Dude, well, I mean, there's a reason
really high
that like Heat, was like 95.
Oh yeah, no, it was like all
after
about
that.
robbing banks. Yeah,
L.A. just like
we're
people
all
are robbing these
wild,
banks.
wild west, baby.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, I mean, if you jump out of the it's not like he took the parachute off the guy and then put it back on himself, like James Bond does.
Right.
Nobody claims James Bond is realistic.
I'm just saying.
James Bond is a documentary.
He just hugged him real tight.
Yeah. There are sequences that always make you go.
It's an action movie, though. Like, I feel like if you come into it with like,
no.
I need to make sure the physics work on this. Get out. What are you doing? All right, let's get some quick reactions. What did everybody think? Steven.
It's been a while. Actually, it's been a long while since I saw this. It's pretty good. Still got the early '90s actions chops.
It's Point Break, baby.
It just is. Yeah, it's a classic. It's hard to say.
Andrew, you had never seen this?
Yeah, first time seeing this, I enjoyed it a lot.
We are broadening Andrew's horizons. You've seen parts of it though before this.
No,
just by watching Hot Fuzz, you have to.
Well, okay, yeah, sure.
Busted.
I've seen
Birds aren't real, nerd.
I've seen like the first heist. Like bank robbery,
yeah.
But beyond that, like I haven't really I knew Keanu Reeves was in it.
You're aware of it, but not. Yeah. So you liked it though?
Yeah, it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, it's just a fun movie.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into a plot summary.
What about you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I love this movie. I've seen this since I was a kid. I remember when this was brand new. I didn't see it in theater.
It was actually way more violent than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, I mean, it was. You got to think like for context. Like this was 1991. The 80s were the violent generation. It was like every action movie had like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone.
One up this, yeah.
Yeah, and so like this was for me in the early 90s, this was taming it down a touch.
Really?
Yeah, because
okay, so then what action movies are you comparing this against?
Oh, like Commando, Cobra, like any of those Stallone or like Sylvester, like
I haven't seen either of those
Schwarzenegger movies. Yeah, like Predator, any of those like where like people are
Predator was pretty
disemboweled and gored,
pretty
and
violent. Yeah,
exploding. RoboCop, where a dude gets hit with like 1,000,000 machine gun bullets and falls into toxic waste and then hit with a car.
RoboCop, where the dude's whole chest gets ripped apart.
Yeah,
I've actually never seen RoboCop non-TV cut.
Oh wow!
Oh, you've
only seen 30 minutes of the movie.
that was kind of where I was going to go with this one. Was I have mostly seen this as the TNT, TBS TV.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Boy, so you get the idea of the film, but you don't get the idea of the film.
Yeah.
Because there's some pretty brutal deaths in this one.
Oh, and I will have to say though, one complaint. So you can watch this for free on YouTube with ads. Don't. They took an R-rated film and they made it rated TV-14. So they don't edit stuff. They just blur things out.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, right in the middle of the film. And like when they'll curse a lot, they'll just turn off the audio.
What?
And they don't turn off just the voice tracks.
It's everything.
All audio. We had multiple times watched this.
It just
we were just like,
out.
did our soundbar? No, okay, no, it's bad.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
It was one of the things where it's like, well, we're here now, and like I feel like I have to commit to this to experience how insane, like, because the film's already kind of crazy.
So we watched it on Netflix, but we watched it the weekend that it went off Netflix.
Oh yeah. Ooh. So I rented it on Canopy, which I have it's like 26 credits a month through the library card.
Oh, okay.
It's like a
Canopy.
Yeah, it's like
Peacock. You gotta
check it out on the Yodu. What the hell is Yodu?
it's like Hoopla, but like for movies.
I hate. Okay,
Hoopla is a library thing where you can rent books.
This whole episode, so I can just rant.
It's kind of like Libby.
It's literally MCU characters, but streaming services.
Yes, exactly.
No, MCU characters back. It's not MCU characters.
Glorbo, idiot.
It's MCU characters who arrive at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Zarful's here. Everyone knows Zarful. He's our best bud.
There's one dude in the back screaming. Sorry. Canopy with a K, by the way. Canopy.
God dang it.
They actually have a lot of really good movies because it's only, I think it's only library subscriptions. Can you get it?
Yeah.
So they have like a lot of recent stuff and a lot of like Criterion Collection stuff. So it's got a good selection. I should really use it more. Like when I was in there looking for Point Break, I'm like, they've got half the Criterion Collection, all these A24 movies. Why am I watching Point Break on this? But anyway, it was unfiltered, uncut. It was the real Point Break.
Yeah.
Back to the details. An FBI agent goes undercover to catch a gang of surfers who may be bank robbers.
Yeah, that's the movie.
Yeah. They could be.
Released July 12th, 1991, directed by Catherine Bigelow, who directed The Hurt Locker, Zero Dark 30, and Strange Days in the 90s. She married, this is just a fun piece of trivia.
She married James Cameron?
For the cast, because he's a big fan. He's a listener. Thanks, Jimmy Cams, for listening every week.
Bring up his...
Married to James Cameron.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I just guessed at James Cameron.
Yes.
How did you not know this? Oh, wow.
No, I didn't. But it's just because you're like, she married. I'm like, has to be James Cameron.
Yeah, he's setting this up. He's setting this up. Like,
no. Okay. Married Cameron in 89, divorced him in 91. It was very short-lived.
Because of Point Break.
Just so passionate. Now, he is an executive producer on this. And I'm pretty sure the divorce happened before this released. So I don't know what the press circuit was probably wild.
Oh, man. I bet it was.
Well, because I mean, like, that's like.
Because he was EP on this.
Because Terminator 2 came out in
91, but I don't know what month. So it would have been.
So I mean, like, this is like peak Jimmy.
Or was it
Cams.
92? Oh,
I thought Terminator. I'll look it up. I thought Terminator 2 was after.
It may have been 92. Yeah, but it was like probably peak, in production same time.
Well, this is peak Jimmy Cam's like height too for. Because he's coming off of Aliens,
right?
Then he's
working
on
was somewhere in there.
Terminator.
No, Terminator 2 is Terminator 2 released on July 3rd, 1991.
Whoa!
This is why they divorced. She's like, man, I've got this great film coming out July 12th. And Jimmy Cam's like, move my release date.
She's like, as long as nobody releases some dumb time travel robot movie around the same time.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
Jimmy
that is crazy.
Cams. See, you were talking about your friend of the show, and you're already
friend of the show, Jimmy Cams.
You're here bringing up his ex on air.
Hey,
never gonna hear the end of that.
Me and Jimmy go way back.
Yeah.
So like
one of
the first episode I mentioned him in. Written by
back when we did Avatar.
Yeah. Written by Rick King and W. Peter Iliff, who I looked in their stuff and nothing. Music by Mark Isham, who did Crash, The Accountant, and 42, which was the Jackie Robinson story. So he's done some stuff, but like.
For a split second, I thought you meant movie 43, and I was like, oh, God,
no.
Anything but that.
Starring Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, Gary Busey, Lori Petty, and many more. Budget of $24 million, a $43 million domestic box office with $40 million international for a worldwide of 83.
Are there any DVD sales for that?
No, this is just on box office.
Well, it wouldn't have been DVD sales anyway.
It would have been VHS.
1991. It might have been Laserdisc.
Wow.
But
I imagine
there's definitely a Point Break Laserdisc somewhere.
Absolutely.
It definitely probably popped off on VHS.
I'm sure.
It's just always interesting to hear these box offices for early mid 90s films where it's like, yeah, this is a big culturally impactful film. It's like, yeah, it didn't break 100 million worldwide. What?
Yeah, well, it only cost $24 million compared to like a lot of the stuff now. It's like $180 million budget, and you're like,
we spent $250 million for a poorly edited film. That's all CGI.
They had some good aerial footage too in this one.
They did.
Speaking of, what are your overall thoughts? Go.
I mean, we already. Well, I mean,
no, you got quick reaction. Come on,
Spoiler free overall thoughts.
I think overall, I think the movie was very entertaining. Yeah. I don't like Gary Busey.
Okay, and that's because you just don't like Gary Busey, or you don't like him in this movie?
I don't really like him in this movie.
So I gotta ask, do you like Gary Busey pre-'88 at all, or do you just not like him post-'88?
What happened?
Is that when the motorcycle wreck
happened? That's when the motorcycle wreck happened.
Oh,
yeah, brain damage.
I mean, I'm trying to think of some other films that I've seen him in, and I've never been like, oh man, I need to go see the movie because he's in it.
I don't think he's ever been that kind of actor.
I don't think he's ever been that kind of draw. Yeah. But anytime Gary Busey shows up, I'm always like, oh, heck yeah, this is going to be dumb.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here for this.
I remember as a kid, I always thought of him in my head as like, hey, that's weird Nick Nolte. You know, it's like, hey, imagine Nick Nolte who does like, I'm serious, kid. You know, and like, he's going to be weirder than that.
But yeah, the action was pretty good. The heist scenes were fantastic. Mm-hmm. And
man, there's just something about a late 80s, mid 90s heist that just hits.
He just did it right.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, man, but it hits.
What about the character being named Johnny Utah? How cool is that?
You're the starting quarterback for Ohio State playing the Rose Bowl. How can your name not be Johnny Utah?
Johnny Utah. That feels like a temp placeholder name that then we never went back and changed that, did we? So they've already filmed some scenes. Okay.
Well, he's wearing the hat. Oh.
So I did like Patrick Swayze in this. Mm-hmm. I like he definitely has the charisma to be
Swayze
that kind of character.
Charismaing away.
And you know, coming off Roadhouse, just using those roundhouse kicks.
And I think he fits the vibe of somebody who, because
a little bit, it's kind of weird because like you're looking at it and you know it's just Patrick Swayze.
Well, that some of the trivia that we'll get to here in a little bit is like, people were like, he was perfect for the role because this is kind of how he acted on set.
Oh, really?
He's kind of zen. He's kind of like...
I can see it.
That's the thing. I don't know enough about his personal life.
But he's a cool dude. So it's like, he's the cool guy, but he's also like
hey, let's all
kind of hippie, kind of meditates.
To me, this feels like the kind of film where like when they had a day off, Catherine had to like pull him aside and be like, okay, so you don't actually rob banks, all right? I just want to make that real clear.
And he's like,
because I'm going to let you leave the set. I'm going to let you leave the set, and I need you to actually come back.
He just doesn't answer. He just stares at her.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't rob banks, right? And he just continues to stare. I'm going to walk away.
That's why he just sips his water. He's like, wouldn't you like to know?
Why? What have you heard?
Really hashing my vibe over here.
Yeah. In life, I feel like, speaking in certain terms is very different.
But don't the banks rob us? I mean,
Yeah. So for me, like, I really like this movie. I think that, like, it's very entertaining. You can definitely see Keanu Reeves is early in his career. Like, his acting
still rough
isn't
around the edges.
Quite there. Yeah. Like, this is coming off of Bill and Ted. He's trying to get out of his
a little bit more serious.
Yeah, but he's not quite there yet.
Yeah, with his on some of the more serious moments, he doesn't really have like that kind of oomph that he gets.
He's got his face just kind of wanders in the scene. Like he can't figure out what expression to have, so he's like, if I move, the camera can't see me. But I don't know.
I will say that like I think the casting was really good because he does fit that like. Okay, I'm going to try to fit in with surfers, and he would.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
He both pulls off the vibe of frat guy football player who went to law school, became an FBI agent, but also like the kind of person who'd be like, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with my life, so I thought I'd just take up surfing so I could just feel like I was doing something. Yeah, that's
like
Keanu's
the Venn diagram of fitting those two, disparate parts of his personality. Overlap. Like I think it's only Keanu. It's the only person you could do.
So I actually really liked Lori Petty as Tyler in this. She did a fantastic job, and it was funny too. The second she came on screen, I was like, "It's the Free Willy girl."
I was going to Tank Girl. It's Tank Girl.
I didn't. Wow. Okay, we all had different reactions. She was on screen. She's talking. I was like, boy, I know that voice. So like, it's Kit. It's Kit from League of Their Own.
Oh wow, it is. Yeah.
Like she had a terror.
Wow, we did.
We went all different areas.
We all went to our first Lori Petty experience and came back to this
core memory. Apparently.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, so overall, I like it. I don't think it stands as high as like other 90s and 80s action movies. Yeah, it doesn't really hit the heights of like Speed or like, again, some of the classic 80s action movies and stuff.
Well, it's very different from a classic 80s action film, right? It's not... Yeah. Most of your classic...
Going in guns blazing.
Well like your classic 80s action had military. In some way, it related to the military. This is... it's still police, but it's definitely not the military.
Well, that's the thing is like, he's not an action hero.
No. I mean... I don't want to get into spoilers, but there's definitely one moment where they really drive home, not an action star.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, I think that like the movie itself, like the pacing, the story is all very good.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Like it's very unique. I think it's like, for me, it's the score. It's not the soundtrack. Like the music they pick is obviously of its time, but it works perfectly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the score, the actual film score in between.
It's kind of like,
There's a lot of like chase scenes and like heist scenes where like it's just kind of limp and it's just there and you're like, okay. And it's like, man, if you could have had, some music from like a different movie inserted or a better score here, or even like, I'm trying to remember, like in Heat, like there's just no score during like the heist, or like if they could have done something to punch up some of these scenes.
Impact moments.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like if you're, I don't think you can really compare it to Heat.
No.
Because Heat is such a big,
it's
a
years later
drama.
and it's different, a whole different ball. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to think of other heist movies and that one came to mind, but like, I don't know. I just feel like the score itself is generic at some points. Where like, man, this scene would have been punched up a little more because the action's good, the camera work's good, what's happening on screen and where we're at in the story as it unfolds is good. It's just like, this needs like, if this had like a tighter Alan Silvestri or somebody in here, it would have like punched it up.
Although I will say there are some parts, like, 'cause you can feel where kind of the bones of what future action films are going to build off of.
Oh, for sure.
This.
Yeah.
But you can also feel sometimes where you kind of turn the corner. That's a little rough around the edges.
Yeah,
that could have been a little like we could have made
tighten that up a little bit.
Yeah, tighten this up, make it a little smoother. Like you could go back and take like a pass on this film and like tighten it up a little bit, and it'd be like, this is a banger. As it is, you're like, for 1991, we were like, yeah, this is awesome, man. Like, I want to be a surfing FBI agent, And
it's still really, really well executed. It's a very enjoyable action movie.
The bank robbery, like Mass's Presidents, is a fantastic,
like
iconic visual.
That's such a play that, again, future heist, like they're all going to play on this down the line. Like movies like The Town comes to mind.
Even just the opening of Dark Knight has that same kind of vibe.
I'm sure the masks in that were partially inspired by that.
I'm sure, yeah.
What about you, Steven? Did you like it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I enjoy this. Yeah, I would have liked it more if YouTube had just butchered it in front of my very eyes.
That's just wild.
And it was the first time it happened, I was like, surely that's not.
No, see, the real wild part is he sat there and watched the whole film.
But the thing is, we watched a little ways into it. I was like, well, I'm committed to this experience. I want to know.
I would have bailed the first time anything happened. I'm like, no, sir.
I'm out.
So
Where's my library card? Canopy.
So it was again a very bizarre experience for that influence. But I mean, I enjoy this film. It's got a couple of set pieces that are just absolute icons of action film. I mean, again, it's referenced in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
You see the DNA of this film in so many films that come after it.
Yeah.
You see Keanu Reeves, again, like we said, early in his career and where he's going to go. Like, knowing where he is now and seeing him in this is just like, oh, man, kid.
Yeah.
You got a heck of a ride in front of you.
This was like his first like action movie, wasn't it?
Could have been. Yeah. I'll look up his IMDb real quick. But I'm trying to think. This may have been, the first action thing. Cause I know he did Babes in Toyland when he was young. And then he did Bill and Ted.
And then what was after that?
I'm trying to think. So for me, I think one of the best parts of this whole movie is like the interplay between Johnny and Bodhi. Yeah. Like the characters.
Well, you actually feel like they genuinely could be friends given a different circumstance.
Right. Their chemistry is like, for me, I didn't mind Gary Busey in this. I agree that like he's kind of like over the top where he doesn't need to be sometimes.
He's like, I mean, one, you can tell he was in a motorcycle wreck and hit his head pretty hard.
Yeah,
sure. Without a helmet on, because it's the 80s. Why would you wear a helmet? But like,
this is his first action movie.
The chemistry across the board, like Johnny Utah and Tyler.
Yeah,
Johnny and Bodhi. Johnny and
Gary Busey.
I can't remember Gary Busey's character's name, but him. But also scenes with the two of them and John McGinley.
The captain or whoever.
The captain or whatever. Yeah.
Gary Busey's name was Pappas.
Okay, whatever.
Well, I will say
and then McGinley was Harp.
McGinley has just played that same style of character for so long.
I know.
Yeah.
And he's so good at it.
He is. So the thing I was going to say, though, is like the chemistry with like Gary Busey and him is good enough because it's like on this level. But like with Bodhi and them, like when you, I guess it's like if you think of other heist movies right? Like some of them like take an Ocean's 11 or something. It's like there's the whole like George Clooney, Julia Roberts angle, you know, but like him and Benedict are complete rivals. There's no like thing. Yeah. This has that cool element of like they're actually friends and they're falling for each other, quote unquote, as friends.
Yeah,
so
they're bros.
They're having a beautiful bromance, and so like rudely interrupted.
It becomes harder and harder to like there's probably another version of this movie where Keanu sells it a little more of that being torn of wanting to go with him and rob banks and just surf the world.
I mean, this is essentially Fast and Furious is Point Break with cars instead of surfboards.
Right.
Yeah.
Where Johnny Utah decides to keep stealing cars and stuff. Yeah, I mean, like, that's just where that comes from, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, again, you see that DNA throughout, and I think not to harp on Gary Busey here, but to the point of maybe the chemistry is a little weird there. Yeah. It works, though, because you have kind of the weird fringe older agent with the new guy who's a little unsure of what he should or shouldn't say here or do or whatnot. So I think all of those interactions are actually pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So would you recommend it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Specifically to someone who's never seen it, what would you say? Who would you recommend this to?
I mean, really, like I would just preface it by basically asking is like, if you like, you know, any kind of like classic 80s action films or even just any early 90s, if you like speed, this is going to be up your alley.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Steven, would you recommend it?
I mean, if you want a more violent, more sexy Fast and Furious, this is what that was.
Because that's the thing is like Fast and Furious was pretty toned down. Yeah. Just because it was early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was all
13. It was going for the
2001.
I think it was like 2000 or 01. Yeah.
Yeah. 2001. It doesn't matter. It's not that right.
I would go as far as to say I think the bromance in this is better than Fast and the Furious, at least in the first one, as far as like buying into it.
No. The first Fast and Furious, they don't sell you on it really.
Well, to me, it always felt like it just happened. Like the audience is just supposed to go along with the movie.
Well, these are the two main characters.
And
2001.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't feel like Dom and Brian would really get along. And they're just buds. I'm like, are they though? Like, because they don't feel like they would. Whereas like Bodie and Johnny Utah, I'm like,
got you, bro. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey man, give me 2, maybe 3. No, tell you what, give me all of it. That's right. Yeah, I want all the content at spoilersintendedpodcast.com.
Whoa, dude.
Where you can go and check out all of our previous episodes, along with links to our Discord, our Patreon. And that's actually about it.
Yeah. So we have a Discord. You should come and join us. We love to talk about all the kind of stuff, what we're eating, what games we're playing, what podcasts we're listening to.
Yeah.
You can talk about the episode that you're listening to right now.
Right now, while you're listening, you can be commenting live. Yeah. Also, we have social media. We have Facebook and Instagram. We would love it if you would follow us. I know where I stand.
You're not gonna change my plan.
We have surfed past the spoiler wall.
Crested the big one.
We've crested the big spoiler one. All right.
The 50-year spoiler wall.
The 50-year spoiler wall. And now we're going to get into a little bit of trivia.
Every time I hear that was Nobody Rides for Free, right? With Rat.
That was definitely, that's got to be Rat.
Yeah, Nobody Rides for Free. Yeah.
Every time I hear Rat, I'm like, it's Skid Row. No, it's not Skid Row.
It's Rat.
Yeah, it's Rat. There's a moment where you're like, this is
not Sebastian Bach.
That is actually Rat.
Yeah. Patrick Swayze, who participated in skydiving as a hobby, was told to stop for insurance purposes once production began.
But he skydives.
You gotta practice.
Producers coaxed him into the agreement with the promise of letting him do one actual skydive on screen. The uncut shot of Bodie yelling, "Adios, amigo," and falling from the plane
going out backwards
features Swayze actually making a jump. Unbeknownst to the producers, when not on the day's call sheet, Swayze and others would occasionally run out to an airport and go skydiving anyway.
I had it right, except it wasn't Banks. Catherine pulled him aside. Like, you don't actually need to be skydiving.
No. What happened was after he did the skydiving, she's like, wait, you're not really robbing banks also in your downtime, are you? And he's just dead spent. Keanu Reeves observed real FBI agents in Los Angeles to study for the role. He also
was it training day?
Oh.
Okay, yeah. Didn't know you like to get wet. What? He also practiced with UCLA quarterback coaches to help with the football scene. Which I'm like, that feels like a bit much for one night.
For just a one little game on the beach.
But I guess ultimately he was like, I need to look like I was at the top of my game in college.
Well, also too, I mean, this is also his first action role film, so he was probably trying to be pretty on bar with it.
And you also don't know if they didn't have another football scene that just got cut.
It may have,
definitely possible,
true. But they may have had like a flashback to him in college for all we know.
I did actually watch him doing the throwing motion. I was like, oh man, yeah, he looks like he was coached because this looks like what you're supposed to do to throw the football.
Yeah. The film was originally called Johnny Utah when Keanu Reeves was cast in the title role.
No, Point Break, man.
I know. So the studio felt that this title said very little about surfing, and by the time Patrick Swayze was cast, the film had been renamed Riders on the Storm after the famous song by The Doors.
I mean, that's not a bad one.
That's not terrible.
However, the lyrics had nothing to do with the film, so that title was also rejected.
Yeah, that's also true.
So it was not until halfway through filming that Point Break became the film's title because of its relevance to surfing.
Yeah.
Man, okay, I'm not going to lie.
Point Break is an awesome name.
It really is, because it represents that moment of like, when specifically Bodie could walk away or keep going, that's the point break, and then he's just like, I'm all in, man.
Well, I mean, it fits across the board, right? Because it's the point at which what point does Keanu break?
Yeah,
right.
When does the wave break? Like, and they even say it as a location. Oh, we just surfed over by Point Break, you know?
Yeah.
But like, it just works across the board, and it may just be, I don't know, maybe it's biased because we grew up hearing this term, and it's like, it's so cool.
It is. It's just a cool term.
It is. 2 months before filming, Keanu Reeves, Patrick Swayze, and Lori Petty trained with former world-class professional surfer Dennis Jarvis on Kauai, Hawaii. Jarvis remembers, Patrick said he'd been on a board a couple of times. Keanu definitely had never surfed before, and Lori had never even seen the ocean.
What?
Whoa.
And so I was like, whoa.
Man, that's a great first experience.
Hawaii. Had never been in the ocean.
Oh, okay.
So she probably had seen it, because I'm assuming she lived in LA at the time.
I was about to say, man, she's like
she
super...
just lives downtown, never sees any...
She just wears blinders when she drives by. I can't look at it. It's too big. Johnny Utah became an FBI agent after a knee injury ended his football career. In real life, Keanu Reeves was once an aspiring hockey player who suffered a knee injury and went on to become an actor.
Oh, so it was method acting. So whenever he jumps off the thing, he actually busts his real knee.
Probably. Patrick Swayze also suffered a serious knee injury playing football and then went on to become an actor. So knee injuries all around here.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Created two of these actors
Lori,
and this movie. Yeah. Look at the ocean, break your leg, come on. Catherine Bigelow actually fought to have Keanu Reeves cast as Johnny Utah, insisting she would not film the movie without him.
Who would they want instead
of him? The studio and producers were interested in higher profile actors like Johnny Depp. They were really going after Depp.
Johnny Depp?
No,
I don't know.
this.
No, again, like we talked earlier, like that Venn diagram of like a dude that could be a college football star, an FBI agent, and a surfer. Keanu hits all three of them.
Yeah, like he's basically the perfect casting for this role.
When was Jump Street?
Oh, that was like 80s, late 80s.
That's why they're looking at it.
Here's a fun one here, okay. The film inspired a piece of cult theater called Point Break Live, in which the role of Johnny Utah is played by an audience member chosen by popular acclamation after a brief audition at every show. So every show, they have a brief audition for people.
Where does this show take place?
Oh, I'm sure LA. I'm sure somewhere.
That'd honestly be pretty awesome.
Right, okay, so... The new Keanu reads all of his or her lines from cue cards for the duration of the show, quote, to capture the rawness of a Keanu Reeves performance.
Oh my God.
And even those who generally think themselves incapable of acting. So
that's honestly
in
incredible.
2013,
I want to go see this show.
I know. Listen now. In 2013, Gary Busey attended her performance and received rapturous applause from themselves when he joined the cast on stage. Lori Petty has also turned up to participate in several of the live performances.
Oh, that's so
incredible.
Cool.
See, now
I want to see Gary Busey playing Johnny Utah in the stage.
Well, no, Keanu has to come back now and just do the whole movie.
Yeah, I guess I'm back.
Oh, no.
The last thing here, officially uncredited because of an unresolved issue with the Writers Guild of America, James Cameron and Catherine Bigelow rewrote the final script together.
I wonder if that was
serving each other divorce
Was that
papers.
the divorce right there? Is that what triggered it?
They got together one night, finished this script, and said, "It's over.
Never again.
Never again." All right, so let's get into some spoiler conversations. What does everybody think now that we're past the spoiler wall?
So, right at the beginning of the film, there's a good little one shot of Keanu getting introduced, like, and basically walking behind the captain throughout the precinct or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Which is it was really, really cool. I always love whenever movies open up that way because it really gives you a lot of time with the main character to see how they react to things in real time.
Yeah.
It really sets the tone.
It does, yeah, because obviously, like, you have this, kind of over the top, FBI captain, whatever,
right?
And then you have the greenhorn that's kind of coming in, but he's still pretty snarky the whole time.
100%, and like, again, a shot like that especially helps give you a lot of like visual information quickly because you're introduced to like several key people. You kind of have a vibe of like what this whole office is about. You kind of get an idea.
It does a really good bit of world building, like just right
just
there.
And really
there's no exposition because the exposition is him actually entering the precinct and talking to the captain just like you would on your first day.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did you think about basically just the heists and the motivations behind
the heists were great. Yeah. Both heists were really
I like that each president still acts like their own, like the president.
They're all doing impressions. I am not a crook.
That one got a really good laugh when it just did the
Well, it's very appropriate as you leave a bank robbery.
Yeah.
And I think too, like the premise is very interesting. That it's like, okay, we're trying to think of a group of people who would rob banks and leave, and why would they do that? And it's like, well, they're surfers. They're following
the surf,
the best surf, and it's like, wow, that's actually really smart. That like they rob a bank and they leave, so they hit the same place like once a year or whatever, But then it makes you wonder, like, how much money have they stolen? But they never go to the vaults. That's the thing. It's like they're not even stealing
it's like petty cash.
Tons of money. I mean, I'm sure it's more than petty cash, but it's like it's enough to live
remember,
on.
though, this is early '90s. You get a couple thousand out of a drawer.
Easy, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Credit cards weren't really a thing.
Everybody's there's cashes everywhere right now.
Yeah, I saw a news.
You couldn't do that in today's world.
Oh, you go into a bank and be like, "Give me all your money." They'd be like, "Here's $500." Yeah, I mean, like, vault's on a timer, bro. No one can open it.
I saw an old news clip of when they first introduced like the ability to purchase your food at McDonald's with a credit card from like 96 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like later than I thought. I was like, what? And like people were incredulous. They're like, why would you ever put fries and a burger on a charge card? It was just like the idea of like just pay with cash, you morons, was like, they're like, this won't stick around.
I still agree with this. If you
well, you only put it on credit if you have the cash to pay it off. Don't carry balances.
Yeah, just open up a new credit card.
Spoilers intended is not a financial advisor.
But that is our financial
for yourself.
advice for this
our
episode.
personal advice.
So we talked a little bit about, Bodhi as a character. I don't know. I just like...
I wish that the cohorts were a little bit more
memorable,
developed.
Just they had their own individuality.
Yeah, because basically, like, when stuff hit the fan at the end of the film and like people are dying, you're like, all right, okay.
Oh, it's that dude.
Yeah.
Wait, which blonde guy was that?
I wish that we gotten a little bit more time with them just to develop their characters even a little bit.
We almost spent more time with the other surfing crew that Keanu and Busey and bust up.
Yeah. Well, because the other thing is too is like he was like, well, Roach has Tyler, and I'm like, who's Roach?
Yeah, I remember being like, oh, that dude that was in the bonfire, and I'm like,
I thought he was just a dude.
Yeah, I didn't know he was part of the crew. You're like, so I think it could be served from like a like an introduction to the crew.
Maybe.
I think where they struggle is like they're trying to be cagey about who the actual bank robbers are.
Yeah.
Because they want you to have the fake out if you think it's that other group. And this is, like, again, if you've seen Point Break, you know what's up. If you've seen the trailer, you know what's up.
So the other thing is, too, is that, like, you're not going to have the main bad guy not be named as a main billing of the film.
Sure, yeah.
So, like, just from that context
You can't
clue,
hide
it's
it
like
that
it's
way.
Patrick
Yeah.
Swayze, guys.
Unless you just have like the cameo of all cameos. I don't know, you know.
But like if you were thinking of this like as a novelization, like a book, then it would be like you would want to be
would work better
cagey
that
about
way,
who the
Yeah,
actual heist
it
crew
would make
is.
more sense there.
And so it's like they don't want to introduce you to all these characters yet because they don't want you to know who the heist crew is. But I think there needs to be like a mid-movie
there's
like
there's
moment.
there's a way to make it happen to where there's still doubt,
yeah.
but like
What you do is you don't just make it Keanu and Bodhi are buds. You make him buds with the other people, and then they have interactions as individuals.
'Cause everyone else-
and that makes it work.
everyone else is very antagonistic towards Johnny Utah.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they had written it where they were all like,
Kinda
bro,
chill, yeah.
this guy's in, you know?
You also do have the issue of what if it's just a bunch of tanned blonde dudes? Like, can we get some different silhouettes here?
Right,
no one
yeah.
passes the silhouette
Yeah,
test.
no, not at all.
They all have the same silhouette. They all pass the test. Yeah, and I think the romance with Lori Petty. So there's several things in this movie that kind of follow the formula of like you've got the overbearing captain who's always mad. You've got the old partner who's ready to retire. And you got this scrappy young guy. You've got the love interest that starts off as undercover, bad faith.
Yeah.
He lies to her, but then they found love along the way, you know? So that there's nothing really in it on that level that breaks the mold. But
Yeah.
I think it doesn't need to on that level because it's almost like we're doing something different on the high side of it where there's a bromance. So like you need those touchstones and like
You
a
need
security
some
blanket.
familiar
You need a little bit
archetypes
of
going on here.
to
keep you
cornerstone
grounded.
foundational stuff, just to where everyone knows where that's going. So then that gives us more time to develop other things like Bodhi and Johnny's like, you know, kind of relationship and friendship or whatever. And then obviously like the stuff like I was generally surprised at how much longer the film went after the big heist where like he chases him through the street. I'm like, we got like 45 minutes left.
Now, I will say that's something I did not remember, and it may just be because it was the TV edit, so it was much closer to the end.
And
but
if you watch Hot Fuzz, you think that that's like the climax
they
of the
act like
film.
it's a climax, yeah.
And it's not. It's just like a moment.
So I may have actually been gaslit by Hot Fuzz, where I haven't seen this in so long. I was like, oh yeah, that is at the end. I was like, this is not the end.
Yeah. So yeah, because of that, I was like, oh, this movie just keeps going. But it's not a bad thing. It's just like, okay, this is still like a pretty decent like way to kind of like wrap it up. Because then, you know, obviously Bodhi gets away. And
I think his escape plan is actually solid.
The actual chase through the houses and stuff is really well done.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, more like his idea to go to Mexico and then just like disappear.
Oh, go to Mexico is everybody's answer in the 80s, man.
Yeah.
Just disappear in Mexico.
But then, like, so before we move past it, to go back to like the iconic scene from, you know, they using Hot Fuzz where like he's got him in his sights.
The gun,
He can't take the
There's
shot.
no way he's not going to hit him from that far anyways with a handgun 9mm. But anyway.
Okay, 1-star review here.
It's so unrealistic.
But then he like aims at his, I remember as a kid seeing that and being like, this rules.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, he's so torn. It's his bud.
Well, it's his bud. His knee's broken.
Hot Fuzz moment right there.
Yeah. So I think that's really well executed. But then, like on top of that, like you're saying, like the movie keeps going, and it definitely has like more twists and turns. And like Bodhi, it's not that you sell him short and think he's just a dumb surfer, but it's like that he has thought through a lot of stuff. Like, okay, well, they kidnapped Lori Petty.
He's thought through a lot, but then he gets too emotional with the rush of, which is his downfall.
Close to it, yeah.
Because then, you know, obviously he breaks the rule. He goes for the vault, and then that gives the undercover casual or
just the plainclothes.
Plainclothes. There he goes.
Yeah.
Plainclothes cop to be able to get his gun and that kind of stuff, and then obviously it ends up just everything spins out of control.
Everything spins out. Yeah.
So I like when that scene happened. My wife was like, "Nobody would actually do that." I'm like, no. In the 80s, they would do that. It's just this is what actually happened to them, and then they were told, "Don't do that. It's a bad idea."
Yeah. This is
just let them take the money.
Now there's a training video where they go, "Don't do that."
Don't do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Trying to think of what else.
I also didn't expect Gary Busey to die.
Yeah, so I remembered, like, I'm trying to think when the last time I watched Point Break was. I want to say it was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was fairly recently-ish because I watched it with my wife. She had never seen it at the time. I think what happened was we watched Hot Fuzz And then it was like 5 years ago, and
She's
she
like,
was,
"What's Point Break?"
I've never seen Point Break. And I was like, really?
You're like,
And
what?
we watched it like the next weekend.
Let me get my Canopy subscription out here.
No, back then it was, I can't remember where it was, Netflix or somewhere. But
You
yeah,
had to order the DVD.
yeah.
The Redbox.
Hold on, let me Redbox it. Yeah.
R.I.P. Redbox.
But yeah, I was at that viewing, not so much this one, surprised when Gary Busey dies, because you're like, oh yeah, like everybody dies.
Everyone
dies,
just gets completely,
Yeah. And what did you think about at the very end? So they're at the 50-year storm.
I thought that was a fantastic end.
I thought it's a good way to end it, because it's like, you don't really know how much time has passed initially.
I mean, well, it's a year.
I know, but like, and then you're like, oh, okay, so he's been on the run this whole time.
And Keanu's been
been chasing him. And then when he has the line of dialogue of, I almost got you here, then I almost got you here, and you're like, wow, so it's not like he waited a year and then knew he was going to be at the 50. He's been on this trail the entire time. And then like, he goes out into the waves and then like presumably dies.
And then just ragdolls on like the tiniest little slip or something.
Imagine like living your whole life for that one moment and you just flub it.
You just pooch it.
You just...
I waited my whole... Wait, did I wax my board?
But no, I really like
That's what happens when you run from the cops across all these countries. You don't have time to wax your board, man.
I'm not used to an audience.
So like it's one of those things where narratively, from the bromance perspective, it makes sense that like Keanu would be like, yeah, man, just go do your thing. I know you're gonna die doing it.
Oh yeah.
But it's also one of those moments where like if Gary Busey hadn't died, then it would be much more justifiable from Keanu's perspective. But because his partner died because of Bodhi,
but he
would have been like, nah, man.
He only knew his partner for like 3 weeks. How long did he know Bodhi for? Like
3 weeks.
3 weeks. That's pretty even right there. I think
1 week in surfing time is equal to 1 year, bro.
Yeah, there is every second on the waves is a lifetime,
bro.
When you're touching Nirvana, bro.
That's what they call Hagen 10. Come on,
it's 10 toes on the edge of the precipice of knowledge and understanding.
I do think though, watching that sequence, in modern Hollywood, that moment would be him letting him get away so that we can have Point Break 2. Guaranteed every time. And then Glorpo shows up.
Guarantee there was at least one script floated around after this movie was a success where they were like, could he have survived?
Well, I mean, he had scuba equipment under the surfboard. That's why he beefed it, because it's too heavy.
Yeah.
Well, so that's actually the thing, because we've talked about Fast and Furious being Point Break but with cars.
Yeah.
Brian lets Dom go.
It is
and then we have 10 movies.
Right.
Well, 9 more, but yes.
Well, yeah.
There may be more. I think there are still.
If you count Hobbs and Shaw, it's 10 more.
No.
Got him.
How dare you do that to me?
I do like the scene at the end where he just tosses the badge into the water. Like, I'm done with this. It's like
so, 2 years later, some nerds out there with a metal detector. Oh!
Oi!
Oi, oi, nar!
Is that how Australians sound?
What?
Are they from Liverpool? We have an Australian listener. You need to tell us.
Yes, right in.
How good was our accent? Yes,
our P.O. box is...
Discord. No, he's on Discord. Come on now.
Get on the Discord. Our P.O. box on Discord is...
That's just how Discords work.
All right, so real quick, would you rewatch it, Steven?
Yeah, of course. I would, especially after watching it again in the
How could you not rewatch it?
Butchered YouTube format.
Yeah, you need to rewatch it for real. Get on Canopy. Go to your local, support your library, people.
Library, yeah.
Support your local library.
I got a library. I got the Hoopla and the Libby.
You're covered up in Canopy. You got 26 tickets for this.
Is that a month or?
It's like 26 a month, but some movies cost like 2 to 3 tickets. Okay. Like especially like brand new stuff.
So it's like the arcade. It's a quarter, but sometimes it's 3 quarters.
But even then, that's like still like 8 movie rentals a month. You'll never watch that.
I'm never gonna watch that much. No.
Andrew, would you rewatch it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
I mean, it's a fun movie, and it's definitely one of those films that if you're just like, man, I'm in the mood for an action movie.
Oh, it's butter.
Yeah. This just goes right in.
This goes down smooth.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, well, that sounds about like all the time we've got. But before we go, we need to talk to you about our Patreon.
For just $1 a month, you get access to all of our bonus content. We have great bonus episodes guaranteed once a month that comes out. We've done a lot of really fun stuff. Like we've asked ChatGPT to give us action movies, and then we basically fill out the cast and make the general story.
The actual plot? Yeah, we just plus
honestly. really fun.
That was one of my favorite episodes we've ever done. Also, it's guaranteed once a month and also guaranteed to be fun.
And we get in there. You want to see presidents heist the bank? What if we fight presidents?
Exactly.
Right? Line Reagan up. LBJ, let's go.
Well, and the thing is, it's just $1 a month.
It's $1.
And what that means is that is cheaper than your cup of coffee driving to work.
It's cheaper than a candy bar.
It's cheaper than basically.
It's cheaper than most things. It's cheaper than almost anything.
It's cheaper than a Coke out of the vending machine.
What can you even buy for $1 anymore?
A can of beans at Walmart. Yeah, inflation ain't cut nothing on us.
So please support us. We're hurting because of inflation. Okay, that sounds about all the time we have. So as always, follow us on social, leave us a review wherever you're listening right now, and share us with a friend. Until next time, I'm Ryan.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Steven.
And every spoiler was intended.